Tale of the Yellowstone. World War II was a gruesome war. Legends of battles told across the world of victory and defeat. All on the front lines, sea and air, trenches far and wide. Tales of machines and engineering triumph reigned across the world. Bismarck, king of the ocean, the Tiger tank, the most feared and furious tank of its time. Legends of these are very well known and looked to, but some tales, they go untold, forever lost to history. An unnamed locomotive, part of the Yellowstone series, a 2884, had a mighty feat of its own. It was the year 1944. Stages of the atomic bomb were being researched and tested in an underground facility in the mountains of Idaho. As scientists and engineers went on trying to make effective atomic bombs, little did they know they were discovered. The Russians had sent spies to find secrets in the US to help their side on the war against them. They found that these scientists were building bombs bigger and more effective than the Little Boy and Fat Man combined. The Russians were pleased with what they were told from the spies and wanted the blueprints of them themselves. One tiny little problem. There was only one way in and one way out. Once a week, a train would travel through a 2-mile deep tunnel into the mountain, dropping off and picking up scientists for their shifts in the facility. The Russians devised a plan and sent a group of men in their own train, blocking the entrance. Along the line, they planted explosives so people couldn't leave. They held the place hostage to get what they wanted, and to show that they meant business, they killed half the scientists there. Generals told President Roosevelt at the time of the situation. Knowing they were going to lose knowledge of helping them end the war, Roosevelt told them to level the place. They knew that the Russians had planted a train full of lead and steel at the entrance of the cave, blocking the track, but they had something that could plow its way through. An old Yellowstone engine, the heaviest engine ever built, weighing in at around 624 short tons, heavier than its bigger brother, the Big Boy. Its short height and heavier mass could fit through the tunnel and plow through whatever stood in its way. The president's orders to level the place and bury all of his secrets, they loaded the tender of the engine with only enough fuel for a one-way trip into the place. The rest of the tender, however, was filled with nitroglycerin. The driver set the engine off on its own. One of the drivers was the main driver for the engine, named Andrew Hickox. He saluted the train, which he had nicknamed the Little Boss, as he sent it on its final voyage. The train climbed to a speed of a maximum of 45 miles an hour, but it was on a downhill path, and the speed only could increase. As it tore down the hill, it ripped off limbs of trees, and a limb of a tree had tore into the cabin and pulled the whistle cord, which sounded its thunderous roar. So loud it echoed through the mountains, sending fear into the hearts of the terrorists. It plowed through the loaded train at the front of the tunnel with ease and shoved it out of its way. With the train out of the way, the Little Boss made its way through the tunnel, sending off the explosives and caving in the tunnel as it went. Outside of the cave, operatives could still hear the engine careening its way through when suddenly the earth shook and the mountain collapsed in itself. Some dirt and rock flew from the explosion as it rocked the earth near them. The 3 minutes it took for the event to settle felt like hours for the violent pounding upon the earth, quoted Hickox. After it was done, a group of men took out the rails and planted trees in the areas where the rails lay. The mountain itself became a massive burial ground for all who died there that day. As the years went on, the war was way past over. People could swear to hear something muffled and loud coming from inside the mountain as, hikers would journey through the forest. A low crying roar of power can be heard from the beast now buried as a protector of secrets and a savior of lives. If you ever find yourselves in the same woods as the Little Boss chugged its last miles, and you hear its war cry in the wind, know that it is here to remind us all that some legends don't go out with medals and music.